Hey you guys, today is my third video about Chris Evans and his human design chart. Today I have his 9 centers for you. We're going to be diving so deep into information that you don't already have. And yeah, I'm going to be describing why certain things are very typical for him and why others are not, and how they manifested in his life so far. If you haven't got your own chart yet, you might today really want to do it. Check it out because I'm going to go through the centers, going to tell you a bit about every center, what it means to have this defined or undefined, depending on whether Chris has it defined or not. So you might want to just check your chart with the link that I put down below. Get your chart and just check out how your centers look like. So today, I want to get started by sharing my screen so you know exactly what I'm talking about and not have it like this. I'm going to be lying about something that you don't understand. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen with you right here. You can see it soon. Yeah, should work by now. So right here you have, if I scroll up just to prove to you that this is his chart. So this is the data, at least the data I have from the internet, which should be accurate. He's a manifestor. We already talked about that. He has the profile 1-3. I talked about that already. Yesterday in my second video, I talked about his inner authority, which is emotional, and his strategy to inform. So what we are going to be talking about today is these 9 centers. Okay, so we are going to start with the head center, which is undefined. White is always undefined. Colorful means defined. This is the second center. It's called the Ashna, or the mind. This is the throat, which in manifestors designs is always defined. It needs to be defined because you will find out. This is the self center, or the G center. This is the heart, or the ego. Again, this is undefined. This is undefined. This is the sacral center, which in manifestors is always white, always undefined. This is the emotional center. This is the root center, and this is the splenic center. So you can see Chris has 3 centers defined. What that means, I'm going to explain to you in a second. So let's go back to my screen. In human design, we have 9 centers, which you just saw, that are either defined, colorful, or undefined, white. If a center is defined, all the aspects it stands for are inherent in you and they are stable. So you could say that in these centers, you will always find your true self. In the centers that are not defined, that are white, you will always find the people and the energies surrounding you. Most of all, if the people surrounding you are defined in these centers and you are not, which is so important because it just tells us what to look for in other people. We condition each other energetically all the time, okay? When we spend time together, when we spend our lives together, even when we're only in a supermarket queue, you just know when a person enters a room that is really angry or really happy. You can just see the energy bursting out. You just know. So this is where we get conditioned, not in a psychological way, but in an energetical way. Okay, so of course, this conditioning in a supermarket queue is not as influential as the conditioning through your parents or through your siblings or partners or kids that's lasting for years. So let's just go through the 9 centers in your chart, Chris, and see what we find. The center on top of the chart is your head center. Your head, Chris, is undefined, meaning that you're open to all sorts of inspiration that comes to your head at all times. Wherever you go, whomever you meet, you'll be inspired by others who are defined in their head center. And you can easily jump onto big ideas other people have, as you, especially with an emotional authority, are easy to delight. You long for inspiration in this way, and thus you always search for people worth your adoration. You need to make sure that the people you surround yourself with don't confuse you with their thoughts and plans, because you'll be easily distracted by taking this over and not noticing yours. When you're not aware of this, you may notice that you lose your focus easily, you become lost or overwhelmed, and you make decisions from doubt, from confusion, or from wanting to understand the reasons for your thoughts. You're not responsible for everyone's problems or dreams. Mostly as a manifestor who will be solving every problem in a heartbeat, if you're not aware of this, and if you try to release the pressure in your head that comes from this, and which is not made by yourself, but through the people surrounding you, if you want to release that pressure through actions, or if you're trying to solve other people's problems, you will experience your lower self theme, which is anger for the manifestor, or frustration for the generator, bitterness for the projector. Use your open head center in a wise way. Enjoy the inspiration through others, and yet be clear that you will always find them and their ideas and plans in your head. You, Chris, you even don't have a single gate in the center activated, which means that on an even deeper level, you don't know what to really focus on or what's really important to you. And that's going to be a strong theme if you don't follow your strategy, such as deciding from emotional clarity. You can use tools such as meditation to calm down, being aware of what's in your head or whose thoughts you are thinking right now. It's so crucial for you to never give up your authority, never give up your strategy, never to draw conclusions from these thoughts you have, because they're not really yours. What you decide in these moments has nothing to do with what really is in you. And when you are aware of these things, you have an ability to develop wisdom about the variety of mental pressures you find in life and around yourself, because you tend to amplify the confusion, doubts, and pressure to know there is an opportunity to cultivate wisdom through the exploration of ideas and inspiration coming from all directions surrounding you all the time. Being open to the wonder of the unknown and uncertainty is really healthy for you. And when you follow your strategy and authority, informing people and deciding from emotional clarity, you won't act on mental pressure or take on the pressure of others people's needs. You can simply enjoy the pressure, the thoughts that you have, to know more without becoming identified with it or make decisions from it. The center below the head is the ashna, or the mind. You could call it like the hub of mental awareness in your chart. In your case, Chris, it's undefined, meaning you can be present and absent in the same moment at the same time. Your mind is for communication, not for action. It's the place of researching, investigation, analyzation, categorization, all things that have a basis in seeing and hearing the world around you. Meditation and clearing your head comes easier for people like you, and also on a deeper level. You are someone who does not have a consistent way of conceptualizing, and you take in information like a sponge. With an open mind, you're fluid and adaptable in your mental processes, and you have the potential to be highly intelligent. You're apt to forget things that are not of immediate importance for you, which others might take way more personal than they have to. This has nothing to do with you not appreciating them. Be sure to communicate this. Having an undefined mind doesn't have anything to do with your intelligence, as I already said. Albert Einstein had an undefined center as well, and his open mind allowed him to keep a distant objectivity and an overview on obstacles that allowed him to bring sense into a huge amount of information. And I mean, we all know that we owe him today. When you're not following your strategy and your authority, you may notice that you are uneasy with your uncertainty of thought or the unreliable way your mind conceptualizes, because it constantly changes, defined through the people around you. You might recognize the behavior of making decisions that try to convince others or yourself that you're smart or certain of something, which in reality you're not in these moments. Not understanding or realizing the public truth, getting things wrong, being exposed publicly for errors or inabilities can be a huge fear and may result in you making conceptually defensive decisions. It's probable that you develop the adaptive strategy of attempting to be intellectually consistent to avoid being humiliated. If this proves to be true, you're going to react with anger, mostly directed towards yourself. Perfectionism in this, knowing better, being better informed, can break your neck, can stop your self-fulfillment. So it's so precious for you to develop vulnerability and being okay with not knowing, using sentences such as, I'm not completely sure, let me check my notes, let me do some research and then come back to you. This is perfectly fine. People will respect you for it. This is so much better than presenting an answer that you're not too certain of and then becoming angry if this story doesn't work out for you and you even have to keep it up. People with a defined mind may be confusing for you as you overtake the input and suddenly your head becomes loud and it's hard for you to keep your calm, which you like a lot. Again, here you choose being alone as no one then brings you into the situation. People with this center undefined have the gift, again, to solve other people's problems because of their ability to see through the structure and see through the problems of others and to the core of the problem. That doesn't mean, again, that you're responsible to do this. You don't have to do it unless you want to. You can also enter a room and immediately hear what people are grappling with at this moment. People probably often have told you that they feel extremely understood by you and that you always seem to know what they think, which makes socializing very easy for you, but that's also people pleasing. So catch yourself doing this, give yourself a stop, take a breather, and then choose again. The throat. I need to have a sip. As my manifestor's throat's been singing too much today. As a manifestor, we always have our throats defined. Through this, you're able to express your emotions as your throat is only connected to one other center in your chart, your emotional center. That's why you express mostly your emotions. Here we can see the perfect design for an actor. You're just so good in delivering and expressing emotions because through your defined emotional center, you feel them so deeply. Expressing your emotions doesn't only take place through language. If you have a defined throat, you'll have a consistent and a reliable way of communicating and acting, or of doing things. With a defined throat, your voice has the constant same tone and self-confidence. So in any animated movie, we will immediately hear who you've been synchronizing. However, you can speak and act too readily or too inappropriately. You can talk too much and consequently lack impact when not being aware of how you work and how you function, and when wanting to impress or play a role rather than show up as yourself. You have the urge to also express them, your emotions, through creative actions such as art and music. You find perfection and delight if this works for you. The first time you managed to finish Rue des Trois Frères on the piano must have been quite a moment for you. It was for me anyways. It's like playing the piano is whenever I start playing something and your left hand is doing something else than your right hand and you're sitting there thinking, no, it's not possible to do it. And you practice, and at some point it just works out. And when you finish, like I remember when I finished this particular song for the first time, I was sitting there. This was like the moment. It was the moment. It just went through me, and I got like, wow, yeah, emotional authority. Sometimes I wish I could just transfer the feeling I have to people instead of trying to describe it. It just seems so senseless. If you have an emotional authority, You know what I'm talking about. So with your defined throat, you, Chris, are designed to tell extraordinary tales for kids, for example. Reveal your personal opinions and learnings in ASB. Show decisive and great leadership. Here again, the manifesto, we came for this, and profound outcomes. People without a defined throat may often feel the urge to keep showering you with their words, as they unconsciously, like energetically, know that you can give them a voice. Learn how to set boundaries here. You have the helping and supporting design in so many aspects of your chart. Let me say it again, you're not responsible for giving a voice to everyone, solving all problems of this world just because you can, or helping others into their greatness or into their higher selves. You are designed to grow people, which again hits the relationship topic that I covered in the last video about your profile so many times, but I think we're going to have to talk about it again today. Because we can end up disappointed repeatedly when we come to the conclusion that apparently we always need to grow people for them to be in our eye level in a role that we choose for them, which they didn't choose for them. And that's something that we don't really like about ourselves. And of course, we blame others in an unconscious way. We blame others and we judge ourselves for this. And I think what you did in order to deal with this is the best possible thing you can do, because you, Chris, you cultivated humbleness. And that's the exact antidote, in my opinion, to this behavior. And that's exactly what we find in you whenever someone is appreciating you for what great things you achieve. You react to it with humbleness, and that just makes you such a brilliant person, because you found the best way of dealing with this. Your self-center or G-center is the one that just might frustrate you most, as it did with me, because us sharing an undefined self-center basically means that we will go through life constantly without the chance of really finding ourselves and our identity. Who we are is defined by our surroundings. So we need to choose wisely with whom we are spending our time. If they have a defined self, we will always somehow merge into that person. That's, I think, also a reason why we subconsciously always want other people to be their best selves, because something in us knows that we're just going to be that person too. I hope it makes a bit of sense for you. The G Center provides your unique direction, so you can experience correct love, I love that, correct love in your life. It's based directly at the place where you feel the pain of losing someone, right here. All pain connected to love issues in the middle of your chest. At the same time, here we have, again, the perfect design for an actor. You can be anyone. Tom Cruise, by the way, has a defined G center. He can just play that one role. Sorry, I'm so sorry, but this is the perfect opposite. Or let's take Britney Spears without a defined G center. She's lost if the people surrounding her are not acting in her interests. She's gonna just lose herself in that. That's what we see. So you can be anyone, Chris, with an undefined G center, which is a blessing and a curse at the same time, because we know this subconsciously, and we try to protect ourselves by withdrawing from the world and seeking ourselves in solitude, which will work to a degree, but never fully. We need to learn how to live in the moment and be okay with our lives taking leaps and sometimes massive changes. I mean, we can't just learn to appreciate being that. It's so good for you that you had a stable family to grow up in, because that means you were influenced by the right people. I want to dive a bit deeper here, as there is this one gate in this center that I would like to cover. This gate is activated in an unconscious way in your chart, Chris, which means that this is something that you experience repeatedly, but that you have not been aware of that it's exactly this. And that's the gate of love. Because I feel like I've been explaining to you for 3 videos now why love is such a hard thing for you, why relationship is such a hard thing to achieve for you. So I just want to make it up a bit. The gate of love that you have, and you have this gate defined, you have this gate activated, means you can be very loving of everything that you find in your universe. You are going to love your body. We know that you take care of your body. So the quality of loving sees everything. Sees that everything deserves to be treated lovingly, because through loving, you experience your unique form. This love is often melancholic. It's often seen as too deep, too profound, maybe. But it's also seen, or it probably feels for you very innocent and very vulnerable. And what's probably a pain that you've experienced already is that it wasn't being understood or met. We're going to talk about your activated gates in the last video number 4, which is going to be coming after this one, covering your channels and gates. But I just wanted to say that I'm very much in love with people who have this gate activated, because I feel this innocent flame in there that I just want to grab and protect and just tell everybody else to see it and to worship it and honor it. And yeah, not many people can see that in you, and that's a big pain that I can even feel. So even though I think I don't have the gate activated. Anyways, your heart center or ego center. This is the center of your willpower. And in your case, Chris, it's undefined, which is one of the 2 aspects we love about you most, because 63% of humanity has this open center. And it just means that the strength of your will is not always apparent. You find your urge to prove yourself in this undefined center, which is not a very nice feeling, probably. But if your ego is undefined, and in your willpower, you will always find your surrounding and you choose your surrounding wisely, then this is like the biggest servant of this world. And that's what you're doing. If this center is not defined, that means you're not designed to make and keep promises. You can be deeply conditioned to live up to expectations of yourselves and of others, because you think the expectations of others should be yours as well, and you try to live up to them, which again causes anxiety and depression sometimes. People may often have asked you, what do you want from life? Or what do you want from life? Or what are your plans now? And there's just no good answer for you. Your competitiveness lies in this undefined center, as undefined egos tend to want to identify through the things they achieve. And you already realize that you need to uncouple your self-esteem from comparing the results of others with your own results. And yet, a lot of gaming should be enjoyed with Scott anyways. Oh, Scott, by the way, has an undefined ego as well, but he has the defined self, knowing who he is and who he's not in life, which is good for him. And when you share space with him, like when he's moving in with you, then you just somehow turn into him, like this childish happiness, you're gonna find yourself merging a bit. So your ego center may produce conditioned behavior of willfulness. Again, trying to be competitive and prove yourself through promises that you're not designed to keep is a big red flag. And just know that this is in your design. It's okay. The deep need of your undefined ego is to try to appear worthy. And that can cause quite some troublesome adaptive strategies like overachieving or exaggerated words and actions to create self-importance, accepting less of something because of a deep feeling of inadequacy, self-deficiency and worthlessness originating from continually failing to meet expectations. That can be the result, even if that's not reality. You're always going to feel this is the reality. And that can drive you crazy. Really can. So just remember, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Just be aware that you are inherently worthy because you are, not because you do. So important for us manifestors to realize that. And your design in itself is just perfect exactly the way it is. You just need to follow your strategy and your authority, which you oftentimes already do, and what leads to the person you became today. And also, an open ego makes you a very generous person. You don't collect materialistic things just for possessing them, but you collect them because they make you happy and they make you find peace and happiness. And you find them in moments and even in places and in people, not in things. So this is what many people don't feel or live themselves. And I'm very sure by now you are surrounded by those people who feel the same or live the same, which is very important for you. A lot of information, right? I didn't say in the beginning, maybe I should say that in the beginning of every video. Take a moment to pause, stop the video, realize what I just said, try to figure out how this works for you, where you find yourself, and yeah, feel free to just pause it and let it just sink in because that's a lot of information. We go on to the Sacral Center, and that's right under the Self Center, and it's undefined too, of course, because manifestors don't have it. That's what I meant in the first video by we're lacking constant life force. This Sacral Center stands for the engine of life force, and life on the fast lane, we enjoy it. We invented the fast lane. But on a constant level, it's not ours. Our peak times and shiny moments come in shoves when we are inspired to manifest. And that's why we admire hardworking people, because somehow we judge ourselves to not be one of them, because it doesn't feel like it. We need to learn not to try to live a generator's life. And generators are 70% of the people these days. Though you might not have consistent access to humanity's powerful generative strength, the life force, your strategy and authority can guide you to cultivate the wisdom, here again, in expressing your potential gift of wisely spending the energy you have. Our strength lies in other compartments of life, as I pointed out a few times already. So just take your breaks. If your sacral is not defined, you can tend to amplify the sacral energy of others and not know when enough is enough, falling prey to work and sex addictions. You're designed to work in spurts, cultivating wisdom about life force energy and how best to utilize it and when and how to take your breaks. Can't emphasize this enough. Let's come to my favorite topic when we speak about undefined sacral centers. The innocent sexual energy that comes with it. Our needs and urges are not as distinct as the ones from manifesting generators or generators who have the center defined, and we are not very likely to become a victim of our own hunger in this case, not including Instagram leaks. which I lead back to your 3, learning through trial and error and the urge to make experiences, the good ones and the bad ones. We are less likely to cheat on our partners as the physical attraction is never so determining that we fuck up things we care for this much. Good for us and our partners, I'd say. Both Jessica Biel and Jenny Slade are generators, by the way. Without knowing the backgrounds of these relationships, and I really don't want to guess, I said enough about how our defined or undefined sacral leads us or not. When we get attached to a person with a defined sacral, we take over their energy. As I said already, we merge into them. Then these dynamics change. And usually the partner with the defined sacral center, the generator or manifesting generator, determines what happens in the bedroom, which is never us as a manifestor. Speaking of bedroom, good point. Good point, Strohmeyer. Speaking of bedroom, sleeping is an important thing. We manifestors and projectors and reflectors as well are advised against sleeping next to someone with a defined sacral, which is again 70% of humanity, because it will not allow our system to fully recover, keeping us awake on a certain level. So again, you might want to look out for a manifestor, a projector, or a reflector. Profile 1-3 or 4-6, just a quick reminder, told you already in video number 2, I think. It's so important that you establish healthy boundaries around work and sex and spend time alone before you go to bed to clear your sacral of the generative frequency from the day. So just go to bed when you feel like your day has come to an end, but when you're not yet fully out of energy. Get into a good position to rest before you're really, really, really tired, and find something nourishing for yourself to do. Read a chapter of a book, meditate, listen to an audiobook, talk to your beloved person, cuddle up with your pets, whatever you want to do. Experiment with sleeping alone, especially if you are often exhausted or have trouble sleeping, as you can amplify others' fatigue as well. So check out who's the person next to you in your bed, sleeping. Generator, manifesting generator. Your emotional, I'm looking forward to the messages coming after this. You're probably gonna have lots of messages from people with undefined sacral centers saying, hey, I'm a 1-3. I'm a 4-6. I'm a manifestor. I'm a projector. I'm a reflector. I'm your future wife. Yeah, I can see that coming. Your emotional center, Chris, is defined, which I already addressed a few times also when I talked about your authority. Basically, you're a person with feelings. That's news, right? I talked so much about the emotional center in your authority that I just want to try to keep it short and simple. Waiting out deep uncertainties and emotional inconsistencies, who makes these words, until you are as clear as possible when there's no emotional charge around a decision before moving forward is correct for you. Told you a few times. We already talked about your emotional waves, being able to put you into heaven, get you down into hell in a heartbeat. We meant that by, meditating and disidentifying with our feelings. We are not our feelings, we have our feelings. We can enjoy them if we like, we don't have to have them. Your emotional system is home to the delights of feelings, sensitivity, desires, passion, romance, the drive for sex, for food, and spirit consciousness. In the battlefield of dealing with emotions, there are those who think they feel too much and those who think they don't feel enough. With my clients, those are mostly generators, by the way. And we as emotional manifestors may learn to not feel everything as deep as it comes. We may develop the beliefs that we are too much, talked about that a lot. People don't get us, won't need us in our depth of feelings, ringing a bell, right? So we absolutely have to learn how to not always ride the wave. And most importantly, I will repeat it again, not to make any decisions out of these waves. You have 4 active gates in your defined emotional center, and without diving too deep into the gates, as that's going to be the next video, it will be all about the gates and your channels. We need to say that these 4 gates can bring emotional uncertainty or nervousness, fears regarding personal interactions that can easily cause anxiety, panic attacks, and a tendency to avoid people. What's also kind of interesting, again, as your job as an actor, is that you don't only feel strongly, but you influence your surroundings by doing so. Your emotions are contagious. And so they influence your audience as much as they support your fellow actors who are undefined in their emo center. As you can see, this goes further than one could imagine, but I am sure the extent to which emotions play a role in your life, I could never exaggerate or describe accurately here. You will know what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna, again, send you the feeling. We're in this emotional wave together, so I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. What's really important for me is saying that whatever I said before, I just want to encourage you to realize that your life is not about explaining or controlling your emotions. It's just about living them, feeling them, releasing them how and when it feels correct for you, maybe in a creative way, and maybe from more clarity than you have than if you're not on a wave. I mean, you say you've never surfed, but boy, you did. You're constantly surfing your emotional wave. So I think you know exactly how it is to surf a wave. Coming to the last one, can hardly speak. The last center, is it the last? No, I haven't spoken about the root center yet. Have I? I haven't spoken about the root center. I'm gonna just go over to the splenic center and then go to the root center. Your splenic center is undefined again, and this is the center governing the primal awareness fundamental to your survival. You can call it intuition, you can call it gut instinct. The spontaneous knowing here is worthy of respect. And the splenic center is home to your immune system, to your health, to your values and well-being. It tries to ensure, it's like the intelligence to protect yourself. Your splenic center enables your survival through an kind of, you could call it alertness to fears that are designed to keep you safe. Let me remind you here that this center being undefined in your case doesn't mean you don't have that or you have it less. It just means that what's active here is not yours, but is energetically conditioned by your surrounding. You are sensitive to foreign substances such as meds, and also sensitive about your health and how your body feels. Your potential wisdom in here lies in learning about who's healthy for you, as well as which food and health remedies are for you, and what doesn't, what isn't. Being undefined in this center and not finding yourself in this center means that whenever you are confronted with fear and anxiety, you have no possibility of letting it bounce off of you. You'll always absorb and live it if it becomes too dense. Fear is the only thing that can catch you and keep you trapped in its power. You have the active gates 18, 32, and 44 here with the fear of the past, it's an unconscious one, with the fear of failure, conscious and unconscious, and the fear of authority, unconscious again. We'll come to that again in the next video about the gates and channels and other sun, but I'm just saying because I think it fits, it suits perfectly into what at least I know about you. Typical thoughts or an undefined spleen are, I can't say that because it might upset her and she might leave me, or I can help them change. Perhaps therapy could help. I can make them grow. I can make them a better person. They just need me. Yeah. Rings a bell. One important thing that you should know is that other people with a defined spleen like me are reacting with fear to danger that we feel through our intuition. The spleen stands for intuition. Whereas you with an undefined center are likely to give room to fears that have no reason to be there, such as anxiety and panic attacks. They come from information in your surrounding and are not yours inherently. Please keep that in mind. It's not yours. You found a good way of dealing with your anxiety, and you know how important it is to regularly leave the fears that cause these moments. I think you've got this, but isn't it a good thing to know that everything that happens in us has a cause and a root, and it makes sense? That's why I just love human design for. Let's come to the root center. Choose your last one, and it's your third defined center. This center carries a, a profound initiating quality that fuels your pressure, driving your physical life processes. It's responsible for energizing your body through your adrenaline system. Your root center initiates being very important for you as a manifestor. And I'm also very envious of it because I don't have my root defined. It provides the powerful energy that demands we live a physical life and evolve. And that shows up as being adventurous, crazy, romantic. Everything that gives you goosebumps needs to be tried. The profile 3 again. Thus, you might find relationships boring as soon as they settle. Well, maybe boring is not the right word, but the idea of this is it arises very quickly. And when we get to this point, like after a few relationships, our red lamp is already activated. We are hyper aware and fear this moment, and from there on, everything is kind of destined. Because we so often had the experience of not being mentally stimulated enough. I love this word, mentally stimulated, because it goes for everything I need so bad. And we just want to be overflown with love for another person. Emotional wave, ring a bell. After we think, we analyze and know him or her, this doesn't happen anymore, and we're being bored by it, and then we find every flaw, every problem, and every annoying habit as limiting ourselves and as taking our freedom away. And when we realize that, this person needs to leave if he or she offers no solution or even sees no problem in that, because we projected on that person. When we're in this emotion, we're in it extremely. So music, art, movies, night skies, stars, oh my God, night skies and stars, can bring us to places where we only feel. And with the pressure of this root center, we kind of have the drive to make these things happen again and again. With a defined root, you do have the ability to withstand big pressure, which I'm, again, really jealous of. You can also invent this pressure to make people act. Again, the perfect center to be defined to start something like ASP. The pressure in this center can catapult you like a rocket into heaven if you choose the heaven. But please don't forget, it will only last as long as your energy flows. If you don't pay attention, it might leave you burned out. Adrenaline gives you what you need, and this also comes as a perfect match with your 3 in your profile. You like to risk things and being caused to spread adrenaline in your body. And in lockdown, this means probably just being scared by your bro. You enjoy life more and more the longer it lasts, and the more you understand yourself, and the more you make peace with yourself, and the crazier it gets, and the more challenges you have. And if you don't have them, you create them because you're a manifestor, and that clashes with a few other parts of your design. But what I find here is your development of the last years, from a cool proving guy trying out whatever he likes to living you, developed into living your design more and more, even though I don't know if you knew about that before, about your human design, but you seem to have realized who you are by now. couldn't have done that because you don't have a defined G center, so you're never, ever gonna really know who you are. But you're living your design more and more. You're cultivating spiritual practices and stillness. You're trying to be the best person you can be. It's a big thing for you to merge into your highest version. And this center that has probably controlled you for years, the root center, fades into the background now, leaving space for new needs and desires, which it didn't allow before. About these new needs I talked about. Yeah, I think I talked about them yesterday in my profile video. What happens with the 1-3 and the later years. God, we're all not 20 anymore. This center also must have made you a kid that didn't sit still, always the life of the party. Together with the manifestor 1-3 design, you must have seemed unstoppable to many. This has slowly changed in the past years, and you found your inner wisdom more and more, which is the most beautiful thing for me in your design, and which I love comparing, like your old, I think, what did I watch the other day? The beer pong video. Was it Jimmy Fallon? I'm not sure. But compared, I mean, your aura just is the typical aura of a lower self manifestor. It's like, it's cool, it's dense, it's distant. Such a big difference to any video that you can watch nowadays from you, where you're just so rooted in yourself, and you can just see how important it is for you to just find peace with yourself, in yourself, with your surrounding, improving the world, saving the world, being Captain America on so many levels. And yeah, I think we all love this about you. Okay, guys, this has been a long video. I don't even know how long, but you made it to the end. Well done, you. I used to work in a nursery in Birmingham where we said, well, no, we didn't say it. The kids said it to themselves. What did I say? Pat yourself on the backs and say, well done me. So everyone, pat yourselves on the backs, say, well done me, because you made it. You probably found out so many things about yourself which you may now think about. Leave me a comment if you like. If it's a nice comment, leave me comments to yourself, please, because I don't deserve them. You don't deserve making them. Don't be that person. Be the person you really are deep down. And guys, I think I'll see you again tomorrow with the last video, last episode number 4 of Chris Evans's Human Design, where we go as deep as we haven't before, because it's going to be about the gates and the channels. And boy, if you have watched the other videos in this one so far and you say, okay, well, she could have made that up by all the information that is out there, wait for tomorrow. Wait for the centers and the gates, because the information is so on point and it's so typical Chris Evans. What can I say? Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop talking now. Have the nicest day ever. Have make it work. Make this day work. Can be over. Life is over too soon. Believe me. Have the best day ever, and I'm gonna see you soon again. Bye-bye.